Ho, ho, ho. I am early for Wintervale, but I am right on time for Titans. I see many have been naughty. I see many pure paladin players.
I don't have enough justice.
It is time for you to receive your gifts that will be handed out with this new Frost Unholy Death Knight deck. I'll have Trump reveal these cards.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Primus. We might have thought that the Primus would only see play in a Control Death Knight deck, and we might have thought that Control Death Knight was only for blood. However, we got a new theme here, Plague. You got the Blood Plague, the Frost Plague, and the Unholy Plague. The cards that I'm about to show, they will shuffle plagues into the opponent's deck, giving them a pretty nasty gift, very similar to Bomb Warrior from the past. I will refer to this new deck archetype as the Force Unpleasantness deck because it shares the same abbreviation as Frost Unholy. Very clever on my end. So let's go ahead and begin with the Plague Generation cards. They're fairly straightforward. You start off with the Staff of the Primus, 1 mana, 2 Unholy Runes for a 1 attack, 3 durability weapon. After your hero attacks, shuffle a random plague into your opponent's deck. Well, we're starting off really strong because imagine that you actually have your opponent draw all 3 of the plagues. Then it's a 1 mana, 1/3 weapon, which also deals 6 damage to the face, summons a 2/2 undead for yourself, makes one of your opponent's cards cost 1 more, and restores 2 health to yourself. But of course, you could get 3 blood or 3 unholy or something. But the point is, assuming that the game lasts long enough that they draw their plagues, very strong value. Now we're going to want a lot of cards that shuffle these plagues into the opponent's deck. Well, how about a 2 mana, 1 Frost, 1 Unholy Rune card, really incentivizing you to go both Frost and probably 2 Unholy, so you can run that previous card as well. Down with the Ship, a shadow spell, deals 3 damage to a minion, and if it dies, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. So 2 mana, deal 3 damage. It's good. Nothing special, but the fact that you're getting the 2 additional plagues on top, that really boosts this card. Very strong control anti-aggro tool, leading to your eventual win condition by having them draw a bunch of plagues. And then we've got another double Unholy Rune card, Distressed Valdir, 2 mana, 3/2 undead. Death Rattle, shuffle 2 random plagues into your opponent's deck. So you've got a 2 mana, 3/2, you've got a 2 mana, deal 3, you've got a 1 mana, 1/3 weapon. By themselves, they're pretty simple, they give you a bit of value. Perhaps not too exciting until you see the payoff cards. You see, there's a lot of benefits past your opponent just drawing these cards and then suffering. So you've got Chained Guardian, an 11 mana, 1 Unholy Rune, 8/5 with Rush and Reborn. This is quite the payoff. Costs 1 less for each plague shuffled into the enemy deck this game. So assuming that you played 1 of each of the previous 3 cards, which shuffles a total of 7 plagues into the opponent's deck, this is a 4 mana, 8/5 with Rush and Reborn. Back in the day, I played Restless Mummy for 4 mana. That was a 3/2 with Rush and Reborn. Lead attack is just about, enough to kill pretty much everything, including many of the Titans out there. So, really strong card. I think in a control-ish Unholy Frost deck, you may hold these instead of just playing them on an empty board because having 0 mana removal for big minions is really convenient. Another payoff card is also in the control environment. Tomb Trader is a 4 mana 4/3, 1 Frost, 1 Unholy Rune. Battlecry, destroy a plague in your opponent's deck to deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. This card reminds me of a really good card from back in the day as well. Duskbreaker, which was 4 mana 3/3, deal 3 to all minions, only if you held a dragon. But all you have to do here is to have previously shuffled 1 plague into your opponent's deck and have them not have drawn it yet. Like, clearly a 4 mana 4/3, deal 3 to all enemy minions is just absolutely insane. Very high tempo card. This card makes me think that perhaps there's some way to play this as a mid-rangey deck as well, instead of just a control deck. But a control deck will obviously love dealing 3 damage to all enemy minions while also summoning a reasonably sized threat, a 4 mana 4/3, at the same time. And we've got the cherry on top. Hell yeah. 1 Unholy Rune, 4 mana 4/4. By the way, when you're discovering Death Knight cards, the only restriction is you cannot discover 3 rune cards. So can you discover multiple Hell yes? Hell yes! Which is amazing because the battle cry on her is shuffle all 3 plagues into your opponent's deck. Plagues they draw this game are unending. What does that mean? After they draw a plague, it is shuffled back in their deck. In the case that your opponent's deck only has plagues in it, they do not immediately die. They simply draw all the remaining plagues and suffer their effects once each, and then, shuffle all of those plagues back in. So they're not gonna necessarily die immediately, but they will die rather quickly. So besides being wonderful value over enough time, she synergizes with all the other plague cards because they generate even more value over more time. I think you're going to want to run this deck with a few Discover cards. The most obvious Discover card you're going to want to run in this deck is Necrotic Mortician, and you may want to run a number more than that, but this does enable a Frost Unholy controlled Death Knight deck, one that's in it for a long game, and I think this would be a great deck for Algalon the Observer as well. Don't you think it would be really fun if you kept looking at the top of your opponent's deck, and if it wasn't a plague, you just kind of put that on the bottom, and if it was a plague, you'd cackle a bit, and then you'd leave it on the top. Great way to make sure your opponent suffers through more plagues quicker. I think the best thing about this deck is the feeling of inevitability. Your opponent will just be in despair as each turn they draw, they're going to be living in fear. Am I going to draw a plague? Is something terrible going to happen to me? It's a little bit unpredictable, but certainly if you manage to outlast them, you're going to win. So this is essentially a deck which is when value turns evil, which is just wonderful.